This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everybody, it's 2:30 on Tuesday, so it is time for our 2:30 Monday through 30 Thursday podcast. This is a podcast where you will hear the truth about what actually happened with the opioids in the opioid crisis. This is where you'll hear the science. That's what we do here. We present science. Okay, there are three types of science that we will talk about on this show. Uh, and as I'm beginning to lay out the book, which I hope to have completed in July. I'm very excited to get the book completed, very excited to get sales of the book going because we will use 100% of the proceeds from the book to uh, get our first lawsuits in the mass tort lawsuit filed. We're not going to get any credibility. We're not going to get any respect. Nobody's going to give us the time of day until we start getting some lawsuits filed. And that takes money. So we're going to raise the money by writing a book and selling a book. I think it's a good idea. Anyway, in the book, it's very as I'm writing the book, it's become very clear to me. There's three types of science that we talk about. One, two, three types of science. Okay, there's the real science. Okay, the science that got suppressed, science that got ignored by the FDA. Okay, published science, peer-reviewed published science that got ignored by the FDA. Okay, there's the fake science that the FDA is pushing forward. Okay, so the real science got pushed back and the fake science got pushed forward. That's exactly what happened in the opioid crisis. And I'll talk about this in the book. The real science got pushed back and the fake science got pushed forward. Okay, and then the third type of science is a science that we did, our science, and it's not published yet. In fact, we've tried like heck to get published, uh, and we've been turned down by some of the best publications in the world. They wouldn't publish us, and I believe this. Now, this is my opinion. I believe the reason that we have not been published is because, well, frankly, the DEA and the media, the DEA through the media, the DEA by manipulating the media, did such a great job of destroying the reputation of both myself and Dr. Hank Emery and the principal investigator. And in my opinion, they did that so that we would not get published. Okay. Now, who's behind this? Why they're doing it? We don't know, but it's clearly the DEA, and they did it by using fraud. Okay. Frankly, and Dr. Emery, I mean, he's been indicted, he's been arrested, and based upon this fraud. And frankly, if Dr. Emery had done something wrong, why would they need to create fraud? And the book talks about the fraud. And it's just frank fraud. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And it raises a question, why would three federal agents, federal DEA agents, why would three federal agents commit fraud, frank fraud? Why would they lie? Why would they fabricate evidence? Okay, and we know they lied. We know they fabricated evidence because we have the DEA six forms. We have the forms they submitted to the Department of Justice as their evidence. We have them, and it's all lies. Okay, in the book I will lay out what the lies are, and we've done that several times before, laying out what the lies are. But the question is why? Why would federal agents lie? And don't know is the answer, but we it does seem that it was pretty effective at preventing us from getting published, and specifically what you see on the screen in front of you. Okay, that's what didn't get published, is what you see on the screen in front of you. Okay, that's 15 volunteers who stopped taking all medicine, stopped taking all opioids, stopped taking mostly buprenorphine, and allowed themselves to go into withdrawal, and came into Dr. Emery's office on day 3 and got their blood drawn. And as you can see, what we're looking at here is what's called the catecholamine levels, or what the layperson would know as adrenaline. Now, these were all people who'd been diagnosed with the mental health disorder, opioid addiction or opioid use disorder. Okay, but by the definition of what a mental health condition is, you can't have abnormal blood work. In fact, you got to make sure you don't have abnormal blood work before you can give a diagnosis. of a mental health diagnosis. So the very fact that these adrenaline levels were elevated shatters the myth, shatters the illusion, shatters the diagnosis of opioid use disorder or opioid addiction. Okay. And this is the science that we wanted to publish. We tried to publish. This is the science. We've gone to multiple publications and tried to get them to print it. And nobody would print us. You know, you put our names in Google and we just don't look good. Okay. And I'll talk about this in the book, but the DEA did a very effective job of making sure that our science did not get published. Now, what they gained out of that isn't clear. Why they would care, it's not clear. Okay. Now, it's clear who benefited. Okay. It's clear who benefited. China benefited. Okay. China, the more this myth of opioid addiction continues, the more China benefits. And the reason China benefits is because China sees themselves in direct competition with the United States. And what's happening through this opioid crisis is our gene pool is getting tainted. Our gene pool is getting poisoned. The opioids are causing genetic damage. That genetic damage is inheritable. Okay, with someone with the genetic damage from the opioids dies, if they had children, the genetic damage lives on. It's called transgenerational epigenetic inheritance, TEI. Okay, and this is just unprecedented. You know, personally, I believe it's a form of biological warfare. That's my opinion. And lo and behold, it was the DEA that helped China. Now, I have no proof. We have absolutely no proof that the DEA agents were working for China. We don't have that proof. Okay, but it's pretty clear that the fraud committed by the DEA, benefited China in their biological war against us, because it continued to push forward this fairy tale of opioid addiction, opioid use disorder, and it prevented the truth being that the opioids are causing genetic damage. And it prevented what you see on the screen right in front of you, that, hey, when people go into opioid withdrawal, they're losing control of their internal organs. And one of the organs they're losing control of is the adrenal gland, and that thing will kill you dead. Okay, that science didn't get published. Our science did not get published. Instead, we were made to look like fools. And that was done by the DEA, and it was done by a manipulation of the media. Okay, it wasn't, and I mean, the media they were just lapdogs for the DEA. They published it, did exactly what the DEA wanted. Okay, and we go through this in the book. I'm looking forward to getting the book out there. Looking forward to getting the whole story out there, which is what the book will be. But it's all about what you see on the screen in front of you. That's the science that somebody didn't want out there. That's the science that somebody went through a lot of hoops to make sure it didn't get published. And hey, frankly, so far it hadn't gotten published. They were successful. What they did worked. They undermined the credibility of both myself and Dr. Emery, and they prevented this science from getting published. I know exactly what they did. I think I know why they did it. I just don't know who they are. So anyway, wanted to show that today. We'll hold here for today. And by the way, this isn't conspiracy stuff. Okay. In fact, maybe tomorrow I should show some of the evidence. We'll do that. Tomorrow we'll show some of the evidence. And I have reported this. Okay. I reported this to Inspector General Michael Horowitz. Okay. In a series of letters. And all he did was just turn it back over to the DEA. DEA commits fraud, and the Inspector General just turns it back over to the DEA. Boy, that was real effective, right? But we'll go through some of this. We'll hold here for today. We'll pick up here tomorrow. We'll talk about some of the DEA fraud. I'll show you the fraud. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to trust me. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'll show you the fraud. You can see it with your own eyes, and you can come to your own conclusions. But we'll hold here for today. I don't think Charles is with us today. Haven't heard from Charles in a couple of days, so I hope all is going well with him. But we'll hold here for today, and we will see everybody again tomorrow. Thank you.